What was that, Matt? What was that?
Benjole. Hold on. It's the second word. Hold on.
Benjoli? What?
Benjole and Benvenuti. I can't roll my R's. El podcast Papafilia. El più inteligente, genial podcast del intero YouTube. Val para Matt Visual. Uggy Suno. No, el.
No, you're committed. You're
doing it. You're halfway there.
Oggi es una compagnie del magnifico ed unico.
Unico?
Stomisto elegente Liam Edwards.
Just the American accent kicks in.
Chi sono I papa? Chi sono I figli? I don't know how to roll the R's. Welcome to the... Oh, my God. Edit that. Make me look good.
No.
No. There is no way. Perfect. I have bad news for you, friend. Here at the Dad and Sons podcast, we can't edit ourselves.
We don't even know what editing tools are.
If anyone thought I was an idiot, this is where I would agree with you.
It's okay. It's okay to be dyslexic in Italian, Matt. You are Italian.
I'm looking at it and I just
drooling on my mouse pad.
This is like school all over again.
In front of the class.
Oh my God.
Stand up and repeat the Italian, Matt. Stand up and repeat the Italian.
The words keep swimming around the page, man.
I can't do it, man.
This is
my
This is the kind of 3 minutes of nothing guff that we love to forcibly shove into your ears here at the Dad and Sons podcast.
I apologize.
Papa e Figli might be my favorite so far.
My correction. Papa e Figli podcasto. Wait, what was the word?
What? Which one?
Podcast.
The Papa e Figli. No, podcast, like, it's a universal homonym. I've noticed that in all of the failed attempts we've made, bringing some culture and some like we're, at this point, continental, really.
George,
sophistication to the podcast. Yes.
To be fair, you have truly cursed us for eternity with that German intro, because, my God, we're never ever gonna be allowed to stop this now. Considering the amount of suggestions and emails we've
like
had.
them.
Oh my God.
I wish you could see my shit-eating grin right now. I look like I'm from the first 30 minutes of a platinum game.
Matt has just curled himself into a ball.
I wish I had more time to practice instead of 10 minutes before the podcast.
But that's what I've been telling people. You need to pretend to be confident. That way people don't know that you're really scared deep down on the inside.
Well, it's George's turn next week, so my God, bring on your suggestions. Bring them on.
Woo! So, speaking of us being idiots, we have some dire corrections that need to be made.
Dire?
Absolutely. Very important stuff.
Don't let them win, George.
I believe that last week we were talking about these very important, very specific, very necessary features of new TVs that have completely obsoleted the old technology. And though it was my first time seriously engaging with this, I will admit that was fully aware that HDR TVs could not possibly mean the same thing as HDR in The Lost Coast from 2004, and my guess was that it was trying to do a lot of that stuff from the hardware level. The thing is, the pixels that are dark on HD TVs do actually, like, electronically turn off at the hardware level, thus giving you a greater level of blacks. I have since recused myself, watched some video demonstrations of HDR TVs to learn the technology and how it really works, and I still don't fucking get it. It looks like they just bumped the contrast up.
Although we got so many suggestions, we fucked up so royally that after we got emails about it, I went to do some research to like correct myself, and I ended up stumbling across a thread where they were talking about HDR, and one of the comments was, they spoke about this in the most recent Dad and Sons episode, and they got it all wrong. So it seems no matter where, everyone is complaining about us talking about it last week.
And it's the way they do the marketing to make it seem that way. They want you to be confused so you can buy it like, oh, it's the new thing. So when it is something actually good, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. As long as it's new, people are gonna buy it.
I mean, I still like consider it a very iterative upgrade. I mean, it makes sense that this stuff would eventually happen to me. It doesn't necessarily surprise me that it's cropping up now. I mean, 4K, they're doubling the resolutions from 1K, which I guess is what we can call HD TV now. Because, okay, well, when they're first rolling out HD TVs, HD Ready meant you got 720p. Full HD means you get 1080p. Nowadays, you got Ultra HD, which can mean 2K or 4K, which is a huge margin of gaps. There's a lot of pixels between those.
It's 4K.
Okay, so
Ultra is 4K. Yeah, in terms of TVs anyway.
But with regards to HDR, I was reading some news this week and how like the PS4 version of Witcher 3 got patched to include HDR, and I'm wondering, for the people who also do know more about this stuff than us, who might be willing to spend hundreds of dollars on new TVs that are incrementally better than the old ones, does HDR affect the performance of your game? And if so, can you turn it off? And if so, do you go in an options menu, see an option for HDR with the flag to turn it off or on?
No.
And how do you differentiate that from the stuff at the software level?
I think, okay, well, I was super wrong last week, but in terms of what you just said, obviously the TV can't give any more CPU power to whatever is running it. So it's more like you can choose, like in God of War, you can choose a performance mode, or you can choose, what did they call the other one? Like the cinematic mode or something, where something will be upscaled higher, maybe to a higher resolution, like 4K, and then will display in 4K on the TV, or you can get a higher frame rate or better performance with less frame rate drops if you don't upscale. And a lot of games have this performance.
No, I'm not talking about upscaling. I'm talking about HDR.
Yeah, but you said, does your TV make your game perform better? And that's impossible.
No. I asked if turning on the HDMR in the Witcher 3 patch that they rolled out affects the performance, because at that point, if this thing's happening by a game-by-game basis, then that means it's like not the TV is not dynamically looking at the blacks of every single image being processed out to it and darkening its pixels in accordance with how dark the image of the frame is coming to it. It means that there's something going on in the console that's processing more data per frame.
Yeah, well, the TV can only just enable the picture. It's the console that has to display. It's the console that has to make the image. Like the TV just has the capability of accepting the output signal from the console. So if the console has like the Xbox One, I know has the HDR mode or something. Like you have to turn it on in the options, and then once you have the HDR mode, if you have a TV that enables HDR to be displayed, then that's what happens. So it comes from the console.
Does that hit your frame rate?
It will do if, say, you're using like not the Xbox One X.
So here is my problem, and what I hate about the current year is that it seems like the tech industry has run out of names for things. We're a year after Battlefield 1 came out, which was a couple years after Tomb Raider came out, which was just a few years before Star Wars Battlefront 2 came out. And if you go into a video game options menu, and literally any year for the past year since like 2004, there'll be a little HDR switch that you can flip on or off. So what happens when a console game with HDR features going to your TV may or may not enable you to enable this feature, and you're George and you're just confused and scared and running around being wrong about things? What do you do then?
It's like, obviously technology evolves and we have this weird linearity curve where, you know, things have gotten super good, but in terms of like where we're at now, there is a reason we have the PlayStation 4 Pro and the Xbox One X. It's because TVs can enable you to have this HDR picture upscaling to 4K, and I'm not 100% sure whether the PlayStation 4 and the standard Xbox One can upscale to 4K. I think they can, but the performance takes a massive hit, I think. I mean, I'm wading into the territory because after all the comments we got last week, I'm afraid to touch this fucking hot potato.
Oh, I'm afraid to touch these products.
Just do it.
You're suspiciously quiet, Matt.
I'm
After your
I'm choosing my words.
intro.
Like,
Exactly.
the thing is, I listen to some other podcasts and I watch them get things wrong, like bad. Like not even right, like really bad.
You just shifted the blade.
They talk about like graphics cards and building. I was like, man, I do this stuff all day. What are these guys talking about? Like, how do you play games on PC if you don't know what's all right? But yeah, like I don't know. When it comes down to HDR, I just feel it's just the new thing. It's just like the new thing. Like, I don't know. You may. It's going to be in every TV. Like I said last week, it's going to be in every TV, even the cheap ones. Like, I've seen cheap-ass TVs with HDR in it. Like, I don't know. I need to see the difference because I don't see the difference between this cheap TV that has HDR and that TV. The only TV that has ever blown me away that I've seen on display has been an OLED. It was a 1080p OLED, fresh out the box. And oh my God, it looked better than the 4K TVs, the QLEDs, which is like Samsung's answer to OLED, because OLED eventually dies. It doesn't look as good after a couple years.
If you run a TV company and want us to do some thorough tests, we are willing to accept TVs.
Send an OLED. I would love LG to send me a wallpaper TV.
I was going through some of the like third-party VR headsets, the Windows Mixed Reality Lite. The Samsung one uses an OLED screen, and I believe that's what they switched to for the Vive Pro. And it's gotten very high marks for going OLED over LED. I wonder what the PSVR uses, because the PSVR screen gives you some ghosting. The LCD screens in VR sometimes give you a straight-up like motion blur effect.
So the
OLED,
one that, the only one I don't understand.
You want for VR.
I don't understand what happens particularly, but I did watch a breakdown once that did kind of blew me away a little bit of the difference between like 4K without HDR on and 4K with HDR on. And it was like there was a standard. I think it was Forza, and it was like whatever the latest Forza is, and it was like if you're looking at the sky and the horizon in 4K without. Wow, that's a pun. As in the horizon of the sky, not the game. But if you're looking at the horizon in the non-HDR like mode, it just obviously looks blue, and it's just the sky is blue. But then when you turn HDR on, it changes the light density of the blue, so the horizon looks a lot lighter, and then it's kind of like white to the blue of when you look up towards the sky. So like the blue colors would change.
Boop, 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 boop.
Like
it's the next generation.
They can flick the density of the light between, I don't know, 0 to 100% or whatever, and the game tells it whatever it should be. But like that's it. We should stop talking about this because we're obviously misinformed completely.
No, the thing is that our opinion has not changed. It doesn't matter if we had more information. We still do not care.
Well, I still want.
I have two questions.
I still want one.
The
Send your
first is that
TVs.
why can't this stuff be like simulated or handled at the software level for people who don't want to buy hundreds of dollars of new technology?
Because
The
your
second one
TV
is
can't
like, oh,
show the image. It's like asking like a 1080p monitor to display like 2140 or something.
you can super sample and turn on anti-aliasing.
But some TVs can't enable HDR is a thing with the pixel
Then
in
get a
the TV.
PC instead.
Some pixels aren't
think-
built to. It's like, as I was explaining with the blue, like the blue pixels will have like, I don't know, like a 0 to 100% of how much the shade of blue they show. So some TVs can't do that. It can't do it at a software
I can
level.
go in my NVIDIA control panel and turn a filter on that makes everything look like it was sketched rotoscoped into an AHA music video from 1980X. Can your HDR 4K TV do that? Huh?
Well, it could if it was playing the same thing, because that's a GPU shader.
That's what I mean. Like, if the sky
But the
in Forza
HDR is
is
like
too
a
blue
light.
for you.
You can't emulate.
Okay,
This feels like such a AAA thing. It
Yeah.
just feels like such a high grade thing. Like it's like, oh, HDR. Like you're Liam. Do you think an HDR setting in minute do you think that would have changed the game for you?
No,
those
Like,
blacks
no,
would be a lot more black.
Like, no, it doesn't.
No.
It's
We're being stupid if we say
Most
something
of the
like that.
screen would be far darker and kind of hard to see. Okay, the other question I have that like adds to my retrospective confusion over this thing. Like HDR is a term from 2004 that has since grown in ubiquity for lighting effects in a lot of games that are purely handled on the software level. When I saw this thing pop up underneath the names of TVs, I was like, wait a minute, that term. But also, the whole contest of, like, chasing after greater color depth and color diversity, I feel like that was a contest we permanently won and should have been forgetting about since 1997. Once, like, the 32-bit generation was able to display 6 million colors compared to the 64 of the previous one, how many colors have we not been seeing this whole time in our lives? The vast majority of my lifetime has been spent not worrying about the amount of colors a console can output. This feels like a term from, like, 90s console wars coming back to haunt me. Much less, like, early Audi's, graphic engine race terms.
I mean, I don't know. I just want one. I want to be that guy, and I want to sit back and I want to have like God of War blown up like on an 80-inch TV in front of my face.
Oh, that's right, God of War.
That-
You're real excited for that still.
Yeah, I know. Weirdly enough, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of positive reviews have come out
Yes.
since the last Papa of Figley. Wait, no, Figley was the... What's...
No, you're right.
Who's the Figley and who's the Sunhei? No, Figleys are sons? Wow. Yeah, I thought Figleys would be fathers because of the F, but that's an important correction we need to issue here at the Dad and Sons podcast.
It's important that train wreck in Italian is just train wreck.
Well, there you
Really?
go. Perfect. Our Italian is train wreckily perfect.
Train wrecking me?
I don't know if I'm gonna. I was thinking about it, buying a PS4 just to play God of War, and I'm like, man, that is like $400
Then you can get more on them, man.
that I do not want to spend, but I really want to play it.
Well, I
really wanna
pre-ordered it,
I don't
auto
know.
downloaded
I'm
it,
gonna
and I am
wait.
ready. I'm ready.
You're gonna have to tell me how it is next week.
I
but
will.
Then,
And I will
4
tell you
weeks
from the perspective
later,
of someone who has never played a God of War game but the first.
Is it in VR?
it better be.
Liam just cracked.
I'm whatever the Italian is for I'm fucking done, give it to me now.
Oh, I hear that keyboard.
Whoa, that's a big one. Sono il futuro di miti finito.
I'm fucking done. Sono fututamente finto. Finito.
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 All right. Bye, everyone. That was the Dad and Sons podcast, number 19.
We should probably do 20-minute episodes. Nice and quick.
Starting this week.
10 minutes butchering someone else's language.
Okay, never mind. Scratch that. We're actually back. Okay, Liam, you're genuinely looking forward to playing God of War, as informed by, I believe, marketing materials, trusted reviews,
also titled, subtitled, Puppy Figley, Dad and Son,
and thematics. Yes, yes,
Dad
you're
and Son
into
adventure.
father-son relationships.
Truly is
as
our game.
Wow.
It's our game.
As are many highly reviewed games over the past, like, let's see, let's say 6 years.
Two brothers. The Tale of Two
summer.
Brothers.
That's
Two Brothers.
That's no Papa and Shonen, though, is it? It's no Dad and Son.
Wait, I think there is a
It's two
dad
sons
that's
trying to save
dying
the
in the
dad.
beginning of the game, and you're supposed to feel bad because you're like, that's a real
Shit.
thing. I relate to
I
that.
forgot about the dad.
St. George.
Okay, so I want to say, sorry. Before I shit on Matt's bed, let his
Don't
out.
do that. Don't do that. Oh no. Go ahead, George.
No, you were about to say something.
Dude, a little bit already came out your ass. All right, it's already gonna hit the bed. So let's just keep going.
Please continue. Let's no, you.
Let's go, George.
Okay, so I hate to sound like an entitled asshole about it, but I really don't know if I trust these, like, huge blitzes of perfect 10 out of 10s that come out for some game every single year, if not twice a year at this point. Because I feel like halfway through the 7th gen, or towards the end of the 7th gen rather, like, standards for reviews got really low all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And that games that market themselves as more mature and artsy games can oftentimes have a far easier time achieving them without necessarily maturing the medium in a way that maybe Adam Sessler thought when he gave BioShock Infinite his round of 10 out of 10, saying that it would be a game lionized for a long, long time. I didn't think Infinite was that great. I thought The Last of Us was, like, only okay. I mean, I went through my spiel about Breath of the Wild, and when I think of a 10 out of 10, I think of things that are, like, usually elegant, things that, like, strip down all their mechanics to just, like, the most perfect sublime ones, instead of a lot of 10 out of 10s that have been, like, really bloated, messy, poorly paced, Oscar bait. Like, a 10 out of 10 in my book is, like, Metal Gear Solid 3, maybe Silent Hill 2. As of recent years, oh, God, I don't know if I want to Super Hot VR. I would tickle Super Hot VR in its current state. It launched without those endless arcade modes. Now it's a, like, fantastic full package. It's still, like, a $25 fantastic full package, but for what it is sublime. There's, like, no extraneous stuff in that game. The aesthetic is chiseled down to elegant beauty. The mechanics are. And I'm wondering if I'm going to end up feeling a lot of the same cognitive dissonance when I'm sure as I eventually will go through God of War. That is the 2008 reboot, not to be confused with God of War 2004. You know, back when HDR was the hot new thing, and consoles were just trying to emulate it with their shitty bloom effects. Correction. 2005.
I don't know, like,
I would give.
I guess it depends on. I guess you have a different taste, George.
Evidently, yeah.
You know,
I
wouldn't say that Last of Us is like Oscar worthy or anything like that, but it definitely pushes the bar on, like, story.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Compared to other stuff. I mean, we get a lot of garbage game stories, you know?
But we get a lot of garbage gameplay in The Last of
best.
Us.
I mean, it's like ladder the game, but it has nothing to do with the story. The story was at least like enjoyable.
Okay,
throughout.
so let's
I
for the sake of an experiment,
Right.
how would we fix 10 out of 10s though? Because when you look at The Last of Us, how can you give a 10 out of 10 if it's only pushing story when the gameplay is garbage? It's awful.
Yeah.
It's
So
like
then
repetitive.
you're buying a you're like an $80 game or whatever. I don't know, $60 game.
There's ludonarrative dissonance.
And well, it's not even that. It's just like the AI is terrible. Like you're talking about story, and you're trying to push for this really emotional story, and have this really heartbreaking partnership between two people, and then you get into the gameplay, and the AI is just running around in front of the enemies, and the enemies don't notice the AI, and it's just like immediately pulls you out of the game, and the immersion is broken. And it's like, how can you defend trying to keep that emotional thing while also having very subpar gameplay that can get incredibly frustrating? And I know there are a lot of people who love The Last of Us. That's totally fine. I've been drinking with the guy who made it, and I told him it was rubbish. But irrespective,
You did?
irrespective of that, how do we judge games? Do we judge them on what they push forward, or do we judge them on being all-rounders?
I have a candidate. I would totally consider Bayonetta 1 a modern 10 out of 10 in my book.
I would give
That's
Bayonetta 1 a 10 out of 10, but then Bayonetta's
Really?
story is disgustingly terrible. So it's
You
like,
think so? I think it's like fun.
No, it's bad. It's
So
and
Yeah,
I love
like,
Bayonetta.
it's like a celebratory video game garbage, and that's the whole like exercise of
doesn't
Bayonetta.
excuse it for being garbage. What's wrong with trying?
No, I
it's-
think it does.
So you're saying that story and gameplay should be together, or
No,
separate?
I
but
think
this
there
is the
should
thing.
be a
How do-
marriage of
how
them,
do we-
yeah.
How do we measure? Like a movie can only stimulate us so much visually and audibly. Maybe it's cinematography ties into visuals, and there are your eyes and your ears. But when you play games, like you can have a game like Celeste, for example, where the story is very minimal. It does have a impactful story for some people because of the the narrative it takes, but ultimately the story is nothing. The soundtrack is okay, but the gameplay, the feel of the gameplay is so good that to me, like Celeste, in terms of like gameplay feel and design, is a 10 out of 10. But would I give it a 10 out of 10? I don't know. I don't think I
have
would.
another candidate, and that is Portal 1 or 2, depending on how much you care about story. Because I feel like Portal 1 is also like chiseled, sublime perfection, boiled down to a perfect marriage between the two. And that's what really gets me going, is when those two halves of the audio-visual interactive experience both complement each other one on another. Like or if I just don't even notice any kind of conflicts or dissonance with the story. Like I wouldn't. This is why I love Superhot so much. It's borderline storyless because they know, just like Super Smash Brothers, that they really shouldn't even be focusing on that.
But then that's another thing. It's like if we go on hours, like a game keeping your attention for so long. Like I've played like 300 hours of Super Smash Bros. 4, and I would give that game maybe an 8 out of 10. But it's probably one of my most played games. And on the flip side of what you just said, like I think Portal pushed like The Last of Us did, like us as a gaming industry forward. But I don't think Portal is a masterpiece at all. I think Portal is a pretty okay game, but in terms of like aesthetically, it's really boring to look at. And if you don't like puzzle games, there's not much else really in it for you.
I don't like puzzle games. I like first-person shooters, and I loved Portal for those reasons. It was like a marriage of two disparate genres and disparate styles.
Liam, you're getting really close to that edge, man.
I know.
Really close to that edge.
Someone's gonna push me.
You need to
And,
back up.
Like you were
Someone's gonna push
mentioning
me.
how you were mentioning, it might be me. You were mentioning that there might be a need to try to attempt to tell better stories and at least like try to smarten things up. I think that what Superhot and Portal show are a smart, very smart, intelligently informed decision to not try that when it's not appropriate to.
See, I feel you're right, and I feel like games like Portal, where you almost subconsciously digest the narrative without it being shoved in your face, is a really fucking amazing way of integrating story into games. And I actually prefer it that way. But
I think it's sophomoric, immature, and pretentious a lot of times when games try to shove a highbrow story into a lowbrow.
But your favorite
gameplay.
Series is Metal Gear.
Yeah, and I was also 9 when I was first exposed to it. I will admit that it's some convoluted, stupid garbage bullshit that gets incredibly overrated nowadays because of it happening to do a lot of things first before other better writers came along. But it's also just good fun.
And you got to remember, I come from the school of I really fucking like Nintendo games, and no Nintendo game has a good story, fucking zero. So
what about Paper Mario?
Paper Mario is good. It's an okay story, but it's not like a masterpiece, is it? It's not
well, I know,
the most inventive storytelling ever. It's pretty damn good for an RPG and a Mario game.
That's
what I'm looking for. RPG.
It was also funny.
Yeah,
they're all funny.
They got good writing when they hire out for it.
Good writing doesn't equal good story, though.
Now you're just getting into the semantics of it.
But I
still kind of see what you mean. Yeah.
This is the whole point of the conversation, right? It's like, if you look at a game like Bayonetta, it's like, I think the story is pretty rubbish. It's like Japanese action PS2 level story.
And
but with,
I think it's an adorable homage to exactly that.
But it's but that doesn't... A homage doesn't, excuse it from being bad.
I don't think it's bad. I think it's well informed, and they did their research. They pulled from Dante's Inferno for all these angel monsters that actually have referential basis in old religious propaganda.
Yeah, but that's character design. That's aesthetically amazing, and changes the gameplay up. Whereas it has no bearing on the story. It's just okay, sure, they look like angels. It doesn't really have anything to do other than the witches and the angels fighting each other. But, Bayonetta has, the best fucking gameplay of, modern times. So, it's hard to, I don't know, understand what categorizes something as a 10 out of 10. When you're playing a game and the story, like The Last of Us, is amazing, do you give it a 10 out of 10, even though it's meant to be a game? And then this whole goes into the whole people who shit over games like Firewatch and What Remains of Edith Finch or something like that are predominantly narrative storytelling with very minimal gameplay. And that has been an argument that is a well-trodden road. So it's hard. It's hard, but I don't know how you can fix it either.
I think that
all Naughty Dog games gameplay suck. Yes, I agree.
Oh no, you don't like pointing and clicking on bad guys from chest-high walls of cover that you press one button to stick to and just kind of wait for the game to the bad guys to expose themselves so you can point and click on them, and that's what
you don't like when there's 15 enemies and they're shooting at you and all you can see is white trails of where the bullets came and the animation stays there for 30 seconds and your screen is just full of white trails. I hate that.
And this is coming from someone who loves pretty much most of their games that they've come out in the last few years. I love me some Uncharted. I love me some Drake.
Yeah, but 10 out of 10s. You're not a real game reviewer until you know how to respond. Okay, first way to fix 10 out of 10s is to put a lot of jelly on that button. A lot of crust that button up. Make it real hard to smack. So that way when a reviewer is halfway down pressing the button, they have a lot of time to think if they want to release before actually making the connection. I feel like they should be rarer by default. There should be one 10 out of 10 handed out by a publication every 2 years, and they should think long and hard if they want to give it. Because if they do give out a lot of 10 out of 10s, as has been happening for the past 6 years, then that means standards should be raised to the point where they become rare again. Because now the bottom line for being a normal mediocre game has been raised so much after seeing these 10 out of 10s that it should cause everyone's tolerance.
What is a modern 10 out of 10 that is not a 9 out of 10 then, but it is like a mediocre 7 out of 10. Like, to
Well,
back
let's
up
see,
that
I
argument.
Gave Bayonetta. Let's see. I'm gonna go to Metacritic
Doom.
and sort Doom 2016 because Doom 2016 I still think has good pacing issues.
Doom.
Best game, sort by score. You know, Mario Odyssey got a lot of good vibes, and I didn't start feeling them until halfway through.
I wouldn't
which
say
was after
Mario
the
Odyssey is a 10
campaign.
out of 10, but I'd definitely say it's like a 9 out of 10. But we're talking about like mediocre. Like something that is like has been scored 10 out of 10, but is definitely like a 7 at most.
I mean, I don't know if Infinite goes down that far, but I really was not impressed.
See, Infinite.
I was
Infinite
thoroughly
is a
not
great
impressed
game
by Infinite.
until the last level, and then Infinite just becomes a very terrible game. Like that last
I
level
thought it
is awful.
had interesting level designs, but a story and gunplay were completely wasted on them, and that the actual gunplay itself was some boring-ass point-and-click on bad guys popping out of cover. It was very non-engaging stuff.
It's better than but comparing it to like another 10 out of 10 game, which supposedly is like Uncharted 4. The gameplay is a lot more variable in Bioshock Infinite with all the different powers, and is essentially has the same point and click on bad guy's head thing.
A lot of people would probably argue over the quality of Journey. I fucking love Journey. I think it's fine, but I know it makes a lot of people mad. There's probably people who could make valid, convincing cases for Journey being an overrated game that could be compellingly argued as a 7 out of 10 game. Let's see. I'm going through the years on Metacritic. 2014, what scored really highly? Dark Souls 2 did. Smash 4, Last of Us, GTA 5. GTA 5 has some real bad missions in it every now and then. No offense, Liam. No offense.
No offense
That's very true. It's probably one of the worst GTAs I've played.
Dude, don't I fucking know it? I had to play that game more times than any game I'll ever play in my life. I know what's bad about that game.
I grew up playing these games, and I had to like push through some of these missions, man. Like especially some of the Trevor missions. God, Steve Ogg, I like you in The Walking Dead, but I do not like you in GTA.
The PC version of San Andreas is a sublime 10 out of 10 video game. I can't call it a modern 10 out of 10, but it's one of my favorite games of all time. But not if I play either of the console versions of that. I just miss how much more fast and responsive your characters controlled in GTA before they tried this whole Euphoria smart ragdoll stuff that has you like giving your characters suggestions instead of real inputs. Shovel Knight scored very highly in 2014.
No, Shovel Knight is definitely a 9 out of 10 at the very least.
I can't talk shit about Shovel Knight either.
Yes,
Owlboy, on the other hand,
Owlboy.
I think that
sure.
got like 95 on like Metacritic at one point. I
91.
think that's
It's
like
down to 91
that's
now,
like
but it
max
got
7.5.
I think Owlboy is actually a good example because people turned around on that one real quickly. Like, Owlboy is a lot of first impressions in pixel art.
The pixel art is amazing.
It is, but we were just talking about how every element could be a...
How about
elegant
that Nino Kuni
complementing of one another.
8.5, Matt? How about that Nino Kuni?
Do you need HDR in Owlboy to make it better? Would that make it better? And Nino Kuni, what's the score on that?
85.
I don't see 85. Yeah, like Nino Kuni 2. It's man, it's mediocre, man. I think it's like a 7-ish, somewhere around there, 7-ish. But that's not bad. I mean, compared to, you know, the other scores that I see on here that are getting like 9s and stuff like that. But yeah, it has some issues. But if it's not made by Nintendo, so
in defense of some games, though, I feel like we do live in an era of video games now where video game releases by nature are rarer. Although we do get don't get me wrong, we do get like 40 games a day on Steam, but that doesn't count as like what we have as, you know, our console systems. We have like good games coming out, but it's not like when it was the PS2 era or the PlayStation 1 where there was like every Friday there'd be like 10 to 15 brand new games coming out. We have had like the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 era past, but you know, now we do live in an era where games maybe take a lot longer, they cost a lot more money to make, and it takes a while for them to come out. But a lot of games come out, they're pretty fucking good. It's not like last year was amazing year for games, and this year, you know, we've had Monster Hunter, we've had God of War, we've had like Celeste, you know, even like games like Ni no Kuni, like solid 8 out of 10 games. You know, maybe you won't play them.
I went back a few years. The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword is still sitting at a 93 on Metacritic.
Damn. That Nintendo love right there.
Wait, what is Breath of the Wild on? Because like, is Breath of the Wild lower than 93? Because that's like,
I'm pretty sure Breath of the Wild is one of the highest of all. 97, yeah, on the Switch version. Wii U is a mere 96.
It's too late. You can't fix this. You can't fix this. It's already broken. You just you go to a reviewer or a person or friends that you like, and you know, ask them how the game is. That's how you buy games. You know.
Yeah,
I should have done that before I bought Final
be...
Fantasy 15 because God.
You also got to ask after some time has passed, when retrospect has kicked in, and people can fairly judge the longer tail of your $60 2 weeks worth of gasoline purchase.
I think it's one of those things where obviously we live in a very opinionated internet world now, so obviously everyone has varying opinions anyway, which makes it harder to be a critic by nature, because everyone's a fucking critic. But like,
but also it's not hard to be a critic by nature.
Well, yeah.
I can say personally, from experience,
there are some people out there who have very well reasoned and excellent breakdowns and arguments as to their opinions, which I think is good writing. But being a critic, you know, you can give a score to anything after you've tried it. But giving good reasons is very different. And there are people out there who write for, you know, some of the major websites who do a really good job of that. But in terms of like us, the Papa Figlies of the world, you know, we have opinions. Like this year alone, I feel like we've had, you know, Monster Hunter World, Celeste, and Into the Breach. And I would be like, in my joyous, oh my god, video games are fucking amazing, I would give all three of them a 10 out of 10. But if I was to like look at them realistically and break them down, well, Monster Hunter is like, there's no story. Well, there is a story, but it's disgustingly, it's just garbage. It's awful. Nothing happens there. You know, it's the most approachable Monster Hunter so far, but you know, it's still got problems. There's so many menus and the text is too small. Celeste, this is a great game, but it gets too hard. The B-sides, like the tail end of it, is not so great. And then Into the Breach,
just felt like the whole experience in general was like not innovative enough. That's something I look for in my like 10 out of 10s too. Like, does it do something
Whereas
new?
Into the Breach is innovative, replayable, and is intense as fuck. So Into the Breach, I would be like, the only game I've played so far this year, I think Into the Breach is probably like a 10 out of 10. If
Into the Breach,
if we're going by
thoroughly
giving
impressed
easy 10 out of 10s, I think Into the Breach gets the easy 10 out of 10. But if you really be knuckling
did
down,
you just say the words easy and 10 out of 10 in the same sentence? Because that shouldn't be the case either. Into the Breach had something like a 4-year development cycle of them chiseling out a lot of features they thought was cool.
No. As in the easy giving of 10 out of 10 world we live in. You know, God of War getting 10 out of 10, Breath of the Wild getting 10 out of 10, Mario Odyssey getting 10 out of 10, like everything getting 10 out of 10. If everything's getting 10 out of 10, then by Jove, Into the Breach deserves a 10 out of 10. Not that Into the Breach is an easy 10 out of 10, obviously, in terms of its gameplay. That took a long way to craft.
It's at a perfect 9 out of 10 on Metacritic right now. It's
fucking
90.
abomination.
I know. Do I even live? I'm jumping out the window right now.
And not to extend the talk even more, but I think some of these 10 out of 10s might be because the time that it came out and what was it was bringing something new to the table. Like Little Big Planet getting on 95, I see here.
Yeah.
Like that's just because it was like brand new.
It was like the only platformer.
It's not a 10 out of 10. But at the time, it was just like, wow, there's this new experience. Like the 10 out of 10 like kind of means like, oh, go play this. This is fun. This is new. You know, and not the new whatever at the time. That was
I also think that the time of the hype cycle and being a part of the community, like talking about a cool new thing that comes out, actually does have a real measurable effect on review scores as well. And I don't know if games are more fun to play during launch week or not, but the community experience of like finding things out together and like sharing hype together can be a lot more fun than waiting. That's However, I feel like waiting is the more mature, responsible option.
I like hype.
If you like saving your money.
But at the end of the day, I made the decision to podcast, like we're going back, 2 weeks ago, that I wanted to play God of War. And this was before the reviews came out, based on what I'd seen of the game and what appealed to me. And then it's almost when something happens, like God of War getting 10 out of 10s, it's almost where it just reinforces the opinion you already came to, which can be okay, because then you're like, haha, I'm so smart, I knew this game would be great from the gifs I saw on the internet, I'm a genius.
Yeah, watch the Super Bunny Hop review of Rainbow Six Siege to see me find a 10 out of 10 before other reviewers could. Yeah, Rainbow Six Siege, let's say like between 6 and 12 months after launch, that thing quickly became my favorite multiplayer game of all time. It knew it needed no real story. Whatever story was there were just like fun little backstory hints behind the characters. It knew how to also elegantly and smartly make like gameplay that added innovative new features to a classic tried and true 5v5 tactical shooter design. It perfectly appealed to my particular Weird George tastes. I was a huge fan of Counter-Strike during most of my life up until Siege came out, basically, and more or less obsoleted it by appealing to a lot of the same parts of my brain. Nowadays, the game's a lot messier, a lot rougher, but I still feel like that is a very strange example to call back on now, because that game's ever changing and the quality of it ever changes from if you want to attempt to slap a number on the thing and if you want to attempt to boil down all of its merits into one number and not let it speak on its own, then that thing has like gone from, I think, an objective 7.5 to an objective like at least 8.5 at the highest. However, when you factor in the stuff that I'm looking for, it was totally a 10 out of 10 for me for a good long while.
Well, it's obviously something we can't solve, and people are going to have incredibly heated debates or difference of opinions.
Oh my god, it's been 50 minutes.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. They're wasting their time. And then they're gonna waste my time. Oh my god.
Oh god, the train wreck is happening.
Yeah. All right, so what do we...
in Italian. Train wreck.
Good. Nice Italian.
Can I just quickly to segue? Yeah. I won't stay on this topic for too long. I'll tell you what isn't a 10 out of 10. Pacific Rim Uprising.
Oh no, don't say that. Don't say that to me.
That ain't a 10 out of 10.
No. No.
And you know what, Matt? It didn't matter. That movie is like a 6 out of 10 max, and I still liked it.
Okay, so it's a Ready Player One. Okay.
It's essentially
Ready Player One. I'm okay with that.
It's garbage, but it's garbage with robots in it.
Yes. I just want to see cool stuff. Sometimes you're okay with seeing some garbage, you know?
But I don't know how or if Ready Player One handled memes, internet memes at all. But Pacific Rim tries a few times, and fuck it for trying, because fuck that bullshit being in movies. I'll let you watch the film to find out, but you'll all know what I'm talking about when you've seen it, because fuck that noise. Anyway.
So what's Pacific Rim Uprising?
It's the second Pacific Rim film, not with Del Toro involved, which is a sad prospect. But I tell you what, actually, the pacing is like at 1,000 miles per hour, which is awful. It jumps from plot line to plot line, introducing characters for 2 seconds, and then like they come in at the end of the movie to do shit. It is bad. It's a bad movie. But John Boyega is actually pretty good. Like, we've only really seen him in Star Wars, and he's in Attack of the Block, but I haven't seen that. But he's easily carrying this movie. He's good. He's genuinely good. He's a good actor. He's actually very convincing, and he's one of those people where he's almost playing himself, you can imagine. Like, in Star Wars, he's playing himself, but with an American accent. In this, he gets to be British, so he's basically just John Boyega. And John Boyega is a likable guy. So, he's pretty good in this film. He definitely carries it compared to everyone else in this film, who is fucking garbage. There's so bad acting in this film. Like, the first one had the terrible acting, too, apart from Idris Elba. And funny enough, Idris Elba is meant to be John Boyega's dad. So, I guess...
And he's also British.
Like father and son, he's also British. So, if you're going to watch Pacific Uprising, John Boyega's cool, robots are cool, but it's garbage. It's still good, though.
The Rise of Good Black British Men.
Hell yeah.
That's my favorite DVD that I
Ooh,
bought at the...
That sounds a little bit like porno, George.
I don't know, Liam. Didn't we see that whole series? It's soft map next to the PS Vita section.
No, George. George, you're confusing the black men for small, childlike Japanese women. I don't know if you had like a filter on.
Sono futumi.
Wait, what?
What
did you just start speaking Italian?
I'm gonna get this right. This is what I'm gonna learn. Suno futu tumiti finito. Suno futu tumiti finito. That's like the only thing I know how to say now.
I think finito, that means like done.
Yeah, of course.
It changes. Like the word changes as you add more stuff. See, the English language is quite terrible written, but man, everything changes when you have a sentence compared to the word being just by itself.
Oh, the grammar is complicated.
I can't learn.
I mean, you could be like one of those kids who takes Latin, so that you can say that'll make you learn all the European languages faster, the Romance languages.
Ooh, the Romance. Yeah,
yeah.
So you impress the girls.
That's what that means.
I know Italian, ladies.
Oh, give us some of your sexy Italian, Matt.
Suno. No, what's no.
I don't think you get redos.
I was gonna put something in really bad. Okay.
Let's say that you're dating a girl who just found out about how successful and cool your podcast is.
So
and
no one
you wanted
ever
to swoo her over.
Would you like to?
I hope it's like go
God.
home and play Ni no Kuni with me.
No, this is. These words are getting ridiculous now.
No, let's do it. Let's do it. Melt our hearts.
Would you like to go out? Is like this ridiculous. What?
See.
Did I? What?
What? That's not Italian.
Take out. What's a one, ladies? What would you like a guy? One word. You would like a guy to say. I know they listen. There's some out there.
Are we allowed to get nude in your apartment?
And then I would like it, and then she will say, just no. Oh, dude. Oh, that would. This one gets. Oh, okay. Apartamento. Stiamo.
It's TMO.
What
What TMO is it, Matt? Que TMO esta?
No, this is Italian.
Oh.
Forget it. We're forgetting the bit. There's no way I can say this. You guys put this in.
Really? You don't want to tell them Voglio giocare a super hot con te.
What does that mean?
I want to play super hot with you.
No. What's something elegant to tell
That's
a woman?
not elegant? Oh.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not. There's got to be something I can translate that's not so bad.
Can you translate?
What
Translate God of
video
War is a
games?
10 out of 10 in Italian.
Golly video gocci ti piacciono. God of War è un 10 su 10.
Se un 10 se 10. That's a good one.
Diece.
So
You got to be
ladies.
careful with that one.
This one you can leave it. Se un 10 because it's topical. Se un 10 su 10. You are a 10 out of 10, ladies.
Oh,
Hey.
nice.
I would like just the break just to happen. Ooh, nice.
Nice.
Had to think about that
Very
one
nice.
for a second. So now that I've edited out the most awkward silences that there have ever been here on the Dad and Sons podcast, where
with typing in the background.
where we get
Simpatico.
yes, we're very simpatico here at Dad and Sons. Liam, I couldn't help but notice that you've been lurking my streams.
I have because you. First of all, obviously, I love my friends. Truly. So
Te amore.
I was being like that guy where all my friends are having a party. Now I was not invited, so I creeped through the window.
How could you not? But
So I creeped in.
I would invite you if I could.
I creeped in through the window and I watched from afar.
Whoa.
Afar
Yeah.
being like 5,000 miles or something.
But you're allowed to.
Yeah. And I watched you guys play VR. Well, technically, I was recording another podcast at the same time, and then Matt disappeared when I tuned back in. So technically, I saw Matt for like 5 minutes as he tried to defuse the bomb. That was hilarious. But then I watched you guys play like Wipeout and shit, and I got really jealous because that looked really cool. And stop making me want VR.
For listeners who don't know, I've been doing a series of VR streams. By the time this podcast is out, my amazing next idea will be out in the wild, and that is me playing super hot VR with just rad 80s synth tunes playing in the background for hours, just kind of a chill-out background music stream in which I fully realize the cyberpunk dystopia becoming real. On last Friday, I had Matt over. We played Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, a VR game in which a VR player is trying to defuse a bomb with their headset. They are blinded to the other players who are shouting instructions at them from manuals that include which wires on the bomb to cut, which big flashing buttons to press in what order. That's a very high concept game. There's like not a whole lot of graphics work was done outside of the outside of the manual, I mean, where things get creative and interesting. It's a very, very proof of concept game, much like the one we switched to afterwards, which is called VR the Diner Duo. That's the actual name of the next game we got to. And Matt, you had some words about it.
Of which one?
VR the Diner Duo.
Oh, you're talking about you pay $15 for that crappy game. Yes. All right.
It's not.
Yeah, you got ripped off a little bit. Like, as soon as you go in, if anyone has played a lot of VR, you kind of know the bar of what's like polished. You could feel it. You could kind
Even
of
on PlayStation, there's a lot of Unity proof of concept stuff, which I think Keep Talking actually falls into. Keep Talking might just be a more fun concept.
not for $15, George. Not
Okay, so VR The Diner Duo is a game that combines the cooking minigame from Job Simulator with a asymmetrical multiplayer. Let's call it an experience. One player is a waiter running food. They
With
have one
one
button
button.
on their controller and a movement stick. The other player is jerked into the fun zone where they get to sling around hamburgers in a little virtual cook station. There's a lot more going on for the VR player than the TV player, and I guess if you like have a friend who doesn't play video games, an old grandpa who doesn't want to deal with all those other buttons on the controller, just the one, it might work. However, if you have a room full of cool dudes like us who know our video games, Matt was vocally unimpressed, as were
well,
the
like,
room.
I don't know if it had something to do about the PSVR or I wasn't playing on like the Oculus or the Vive, but if I'm not looking at something that I'm grabbing, it just kind of doesn't grab it, and it kind of annoys me. It takes me out of the experience. I don't know if it was the game, so I'm not going to trash the game, but you could kind of feel like if you try to grab something, it just doesn't grab it, even if you're looking at it sometimes. And there was times where the plate would glitch out, and I wouldn't be able to grab the plate with the burger on it and hand it to you. There was stuff when I was trying to grab like the buns at the bottom, and then the game started to go full dumb, and everything started to disappear. So I was trying to put some burgers to fry, and it was
items spawned in,
and it would just disappear. It's absolutely.
So when it comes to motion tracking, there's a lot of technical issues with the PSVR. You gotta like get a feel for the sweet spot you're supposed to stand in the room. But however, Matt, what motion tracking? I think we can both agree is pretty garbo on the PSVR. But what about that headset?
Because you know the answer. All right, so for the headset, the headset was actually okay. The screen door effect was actually quite nice.
$300 justified.
I don't think so, but he's not hearing me, so it's fine.
I feel so good.
Yeah, he's not here. No, it's not worth it. Get an Oculus for $350 or.
I'm so glad Matt agrees with me.
Yes, Oh, so
Ooh,
yeah.
So now that I've done my laps,
PSVR is
I'm back,
great.
I know, right?
The headset actually doesn't have that bad of a screen door effect compared to the Oculus or Vive.
It's still there. It's just
It's still
minimal.
there. It kind of melts a little bit. Kind of like
when the screen gets bright, the pixels bloom together.
When
the screen's
like
dark,
if the
you can still
cheese
see
is
it, though.
melting, and it's a little bit off the sides or creasing together. Yeah, so that was actually not too bad. It doesn't have like the frame rate is just a little off for me. It's not as like clean. Like I feel like when I put on the Oculus or the Vive, it's just clean. You just don't have to worry about frame rate whatsoever. And I'm sure that's a limitation from the
PSVR
PS4.
hits that 90 hertz until you like start hacking it on a PC.
Yeah,
It's capable of high refresh rates, but when you crank it up, weird stuff starts happening. I'll be experimenting with that over the next couple months.
yeah. The hands start to vibrate a little bit, a little frame rate drop on those hand movements.
Yeah, and the
That's not
hands
good.
track at a lower refresh rate than than your head does.
Which is just weird.
So, you know what a lot of first-party Sony games built for this hardware do is employ a lot of interpolation on that hand tracking to make it appear smoother than it's really tracking you with. They'll make the collision detection for your grabbable objects have freaking huge hitboxes, so you don't even have to be that precise with grabbing stuff. And for PC ports, PSVR tracking is a mess. For a lot of the first-party stuff made for it, you can you can see, especially when you compare with the PC ports, a lot of the tricks they employ to deal with it, so to speak.
Liam?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Just checking if you're there.
Well,
Go on, George.
you could say I am, but I'm really not.
I would love for us to have like a video podcast. And I just
You
want
would
to
just
see
see me-
visually how Liam looks when we talk about VR.
All you would have saw is me staring at pictures of the newly announced Castlevania Grimoire of Souls for iPhone. That is a new Castlevania game. That is a 4-player competitive multiplayer Castlevania game. But anyway, enough of Konami being disgusting. Pretty much all I heard was VR, 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 VR.
I can just imagine like Leo just taking out his phone as soon as we mention VR. He just takes out his phone.
I was like, oh, it's that time.
Leans
It's
back in his chair.
It's break time.
Puts his feet on the table.
I'm off the clock.
I just imagine something like Giant Bomb, like just like the cameras are on the top. It's just focused on me and George for like 30 minutes, and then
Liam,
it just turns over to
leaves
Liam
for the catering table.
Yes,
We're just like eating pizza, just like, oh, you guys are finished? Oh, cool, okay.
I don't know. I think eating pizza with combining that with your profession can lead to quite the fulfilling human experience. So.
I want pizza
You
now.
guys have seen that GIF going around of the pole dancer just like munching down on her pizza while dollars are getting thrown her way. Yeah,
I did see that.
She's living the life.
She was living the life.
What?
Now I
I
wanna
am
eat
looking
pizza.
this up.
I will send you a link, Matt, and while you enjoy this fun meme that all the normies out there
Wow,
are
that was a
giggling
quick
along
link.
with us. Well,
That was a real quick link.
Dude got
I
it bookmarked.
got my girls on bookmarks.
Oh my god! How does she keep that figure eating a big old slice
cardio.
of pizza like that?
She plays a lot of Super.
Oh, the money! Making money. She's not even phased. The money cloud just pops her in the face. Oh my gosh. Oh, dude, what is this?
She
Okay.
truly has made it.
Qui Snake, riesci a sentirmi, colonnello?
Forte e chiaro. Qual è la situazione, Snake?
Sembra che l'ascensore sul retro sia l'unico modo per salire.
Me lo aspettavo. Dovrai utilizzare quello per raggiungere la superficie. Fai in modo che nessuno ti veda. Se hai bisogno, contattami via codec. La frequenza è 140.85. Quando vuoi usare il codec, premi il tasto selezione. Quando invece saremo noi a contattarti, il codec emetterà un segnale. Quando sentirai il segnale, dovrai premere il tasto selezione. Il ricevitore del codec stimola direttamente gli ossicini all'interno del tuo orecchio. Solamente tu potrai sentire i messaggi.
Ho capito. Ok, sono pronto.
Si un 10, un 10. Lady, men, that's for you. You are a 10 out of 10. I left you out last time. Just want to bring you back in.
No
Today,
8.8s here.
yeah, we have some news. George, bring us in.
So your news this week is that April 20th, you know, the infamous 420 is going to be blazing it out with a lot of cool releases for some reason this time. I'm pretty sure this is just coincidence. It's a Friday at the end of the winter drought, which had really good releases for some reason. But we got God of War coming out the same day as Nintendo Labo. the same
Labo.
day as the same day as.
Do you say laboratory?
I don't know.
It's labo.
I've
for
never had to
laboratory.
like put together those symbols. So wait, that's what it stands for?
Yeah, it's a Japanese obviously labo can be short for like laboratory lab, but also in Japan, labo can be short for laboratory in katakana labo.
Huh.
That's what it stands for.
Fascinating, because my first guess was that it had some Greek etymology relating to dogs.
No, it's just laboratory, like experimenting with pieces of cardboard. It's a laboratory,
Nice.
I guess.
So cool. That explains that weird name. Fun facts. I legitimately didn't know. That's why they call it that. On the unofficial level, El Dorito comes out, spelled DEWRITO. This is a unofficial kind of mod project that might get cease and desisted any minute now. It's a PC port of Halo 3's multiplayer that was released to the public in Russia, that was also eventually canceled as a pay-to-win version of Halo 3 on PC. But just like the Project Cartographer release of Halo 2, you're going to get more or less a playable, like, functional, quality of life rich port of a classic Halo game that is completely fan-made. And also, Yakuza 6 comes out on 4/22?
No, it comes out today. Today.
Oh.
Today.
Well, then it's not a 420, is it?
No, but you didn't read the memo.
Oh, wait, it's actually out today. Wait a second. Okay, I want to paint the picture for our
Don't
humble
you
listeners
fucking
here.
dare. Otherwise, I'll
Yes,
send the Yakuza after you.
They deserve to know the truth. And the truth is that I did forget Yakuza 6 was coming out this week, and Liam wrote on our outline in all capital letters with like a sad face at the end, "You forgot Yakuza 6!" So then I wrote, "Oh yeah, Yakuza 6, I totally remembered." And then now, like I don't know how long ago that edit to the
2
outline
hours
was
ago.
made, but now it says, "Oh wait, it's actually out today."
You still forgot.
So next up we got EA admitting that they got it wrong on Battlefield microtransactions, or Battlefront rather, Battlefront 2 in particular.
I mean,
2018
kudos
one, not
EA, kudos for
Congratulations.
2007.
well done. Round of applause.
Way
Fuck
too
off.
late. Yeah.
So we got EA design officer Patrick Soderlund explaining, "We had the intent that it was designed for us to have more people play it over a long period of time.
Oh my God.
Like a lot of other games on the market. To be able to afford to do that, we had an idea of getting returns from that, but at the same time, we got it wrong." How about you make compelling gameplay instead of a not very compelling microtransaction loop?
How about you make a 10 out of 10 Star Wars game that just like sells like 10 million copies? You'll make more money than pissing everyone off and having terrible transactions.
There is a reason Counter-Strike and Rainbow Six Siege and Overwatch have been able to do this, and Battlefront has not been able to do this. And I'm pretty sure it has more to do with your, like, how much time and budget and freedom you give your game design department, not your art department for their microtransaction skins. That's not what gets people compelled to give you your long tail lasting revenue stream, Mr. Soderland. He further goes on to say, quote, "People seem to appreciate what we've done. Players are coming back and we're seeing stronger engagement numbers. People seem to think that for the most part we got it right." No, that is wrong.
Wow.
If you Google search for... Actually, let's try it right now, because I'm pretty sure that public opinion on this game is still very, very negative. Star Wars Battlefront 2. First result is this very news story. Third result is Wikipedia. First result is the first Google official result. Below the news links is their website. This is all news about microtransactions. I wonder what their forums look like. So Soderland goes on to say, quote, "This doesn't mean we'll stop. We'll continue to improve the game. We'll continue to push on these things. We'll have to be very cautious with what it means for future products," which is what everyone also knew as soon as they just flipped the light switch and did their quick and dirty switch over to turning the transactions off during the worst of their PR disaster, which is that it's going to come back. This is going to happen again unless like real ass either regulations or the PR gets so bad, partially because of regulations and because of this stuff becoming borderline illegal, as it is in China and South Korea. I can't necessarily see it going away in this like hyper-capitalist laissez-faire nightmare that American companies are living in which they're allowed to exploit people all sorts of which ways. Quote, I'd be lying to you if I said that what's happened with Battlefront and what's happened with everything surrounding loot boxes and these things haven't had an effect on EA as a company, an effect on us as management, Soderlund explained. That's true because it had a stock price drop as a very direct result of the negative PR they got from their microtransaction scheme in Battlefront 2. He says, we can shy away from it and pretend like it didn't happen, or we can act responsibly and realize that we made some mistakes and try to rectify those mistakes and learn from them. And if that's true, then you would start seeing a lot more creative Electronic Arts games coming out that play it a lot safer with the microtransactions and have a lot more solid of a gameplay loop compelling people to keep playing them rather than them, for some reason, banking on microtransactions getting whales to keep playing their game.
Is this like an old story? Why are they saying this now? This is like this came out 6 months ago, right?
Because it's the end of the financial physical year. It's the end of the financial physical year. He has to promise in some shape or form to do better because of the negative press last year. And just spewing bullshit out because no one gives a shit about Battlefront 2 anymore is easy.
Well, investors do.
Yeah, of course.
And they're going to be getting their letters in the mail explaining video game numbers that they don't know, and they're going to be Googling these games, and they're going to want to feel reassured in their investment. And any further opinions before we move on to the next hot scandal?
No.
Next hot scandal is that the infamous, many would argue villainous, Billy Mitchell has finally had his Donkey Kong records removed from Twin Galaxy, Pac-Man as well, but Donkey Kong, I believe, has been a major point of contention ever since the 2010 or 9 documentary, in which you can watch Billy Mitchell submit a fishy-looking video to a competition to compete with a guy who drove out to an arcade with his family to be there and settle the score literally to an audience, whereas Billy Mitchell proved to do it at home with a video that had strange scan lines covering up the score for a bit that got edited out and cut with some old rickety VHS tapes that do not really hold up to modern scrutiny. It has evidently been revealed since that he actually used an emulator for some scores that he submitted. Twin Galaxies, which has had their reputation absolutely tank over the past year after a previous record holder was found out to be fibbing their scores, has slashed off Billy Mitchell's records for Donkey Kong and Pac-Man. They are an official source of verification for the Guinness Book of World Records, which kids should also verify that the Guinness Book of World Records is just fun, light reading. If you want to learn about the real science behind extraordinary extremes of the world, you'd probably be better off reading Wikipedia than that. But the Guinness Book of World Records is no longer going to regard Billy Mitchell's scores. Twin Galaxies is not going to be regarding Billy Mitchell's scores. They say that they're going to monitor high-score gaming records and handle all disputes within the community, and that titles like Mr. Mitchell's scores on Donkey Kong have been disqualified due to Twin Galaxies' S-tier verification methods proving them false. Whereas Billy Mitchell himself says that no, an info packet is going to be released proving his innocence and explaining everything. There was an extremely strange, barely even 1 minute statement that Billy Mitchell released on video to a camera he pointed his face at and talked to, in which he says at the Midwest Gaming Classic, which is a convention that he is also affiliated with in an official capacity. He says, "Hi, I'm Billy Mitchell. We're here at the Midwest Gaming Classic. I'm here with Old School Gamer magazine, and I've been asked to address things that are recently in the media. The fact of the matter is that now there is a true professional due diligence being done to investigate things that happened as far as 35 years ago." I believe professional due diligence has been employed to investigate his scores and have found them false, but he continues to say, quote, "In a professional manner, not in a shock jock mentality designed to create hits." Because, as we all know, this is a mainstream thing that a lot of people care about in the world. Our like Midwestern dads hanging around these crusty old arcades playing games that were relevant from 30 years ago, setting the scores. I mean, here at the Dad and Sons podcast, we probably care more than normal people, but I doubt this is a story that is exactly one that can even be framed in a shock jock mentality designed to create hits. Regardless, Billy Mitchell says that he will show that everything has been done professionally, according to the rules, according to the scoreboard, the integrity that was set up when it was not... when it was breaking the rules for him to be using an emulator in the first place. One thing that really strikes me weird about this manifesto is that he says, not 2014 forward by the current regime who wants to reach back 35 years, which strikes me as weird because a lot of these revelations were made in the past year. I believe we were doing the Dad and Sons podcast, not the TOVG podcast, when
what's that?
That guy with his Atari 2600 scores got found out. Hang on, I'm gonna look up the name
that was
behind
us.
that, because that was real video game journalism. Twin Galaxies scores.
If anything,
impossible.
If anything, this is like even better because really, who gives
Todd
a
Rogers.
fuck about scores now? And two, this just adds to his villain persona. It makes it even more villainy, which is like his
make his
MO.
hot sauce spicier.
Which is like his whole brand. His whole MO is looking like a weird ass villain. He's so notorious as a cheating villain like character that there's an episode of the regular show where they have like a character that looks exactly like him, and he's just a giant head with stubby arms and legs, no torso, whatever, that plays arcade games and cheats at them. Like, it just adds to his persona, which is kind of a good thing.
You said, like, that no one gives a shit about scores these days, but I think one of the most important dimensions to these stories is that nowadays competitive gaming has become so much more of an industry that people can live stream their record-breaking scores
but we're talking
in
about,
front
like,
of everyone live.
Yeah, we're talking...
And Twin Galaxies has not adopted those modern methods of rock-solid-ass video-proof verification, which is why we're now seeing this old empire crumble before our very eyes. And yeah, it was January 2018 when they started slashing up the scores of Todd Rogers, which only happened after YouTubers were like compiling evidence of the fact that you couldn't even achieve the scores he was reporting, that Twin Galaxies was verifying and officially listing in their records for Atari games that he evidently was not as good at as he claimed he was. And this just seems like the same exact thing happening over again, except with a higher profile personality.
Well,
since
he's the ultimate high score holder, you know, he's in a movie about it, but the movie portrays him as a villain. So this just adds to his villain persona.
Which I think they stumbled into. They didn't want him to be a villain. That's just it's the series of events that happened.
It's who he is.
So he further goes on to say that, quote, "Everything will be transparent. Everything will be available. I wish I had it in my hands right now. I wish I could hand it to you, but it's taken a considerable amount of time, witnesses, and documents. Everything will be made available to you. Nothing will be withheld. You absolutely have my commitment to that. We've been at this since 1982, and it's not going to stop now." I don't believe you. I don't believe you. That is just my, like, simple, quick response to that, is that I don't think witnesses are going to be proving much at this point. Todd Rogers' scores were corroborated by witnesses, and they were found to be bullshit. The one thing that could prove it is a raw, unedited video of not just of the screen, but of Billy Mitchell standing in front of an arcade cabinet accomplishing these high scores all in one take. Because that is how it's done now, and that is a foolproof fucking method of it. Sorry, I care way too much about like the integrity of competitive video gaming, don't I?
Matt's probably asleep.
The guy looks like a douchebag.
Yeah, he
Well,
does,
I mean,
right?
that's not valid, but you can't just end it at that.
I mean, he looks like a villain. He's acted like a villain. He's in a movie that makes him look like a villain. This is just like another chapter in his villainous story. Just let him be a villain.
Alright. Speaking of villains, fuck you, Liam. How are you going to embarrass us this week on Guess That Game or something?
Roll music.
Wow, or something.
So, George, you did extremely well, chiming in
Oh.
with some quotes after Armageddon and Star Wars with the Spec Ops The Line last time. Spoilers if you're working yourself backwards. Why would you do that? But okay. Yeah, and we have another. I don't know whether this
Another
was too...
glaringly obvious one that I'm going to miss until the most obvious clue of all.
This is what I'm hoping. I'm hoping this is one. We've had lots of more obscure ones, which is, I guess, fine, but I'm probably not going to use them. But this one, this beautiful, beautiful one, comes from ZM Dumpbox.
Thanks, Dumpbox. Thanks for dumping it in our box.
Thanks for dumping it in our box. He's gonna throw in a suggestion or something. It's one of his favorite pieces of entertainment. So that's like a clue in itself. Anyway, for anyone who doesn't know, this is the Guess the Game portion of the show where we have some clues from listeners for about a game name, and Matt and George have to chime in after each clue and guess what that game is. They are both pretty bad at it, which is funny. But I wonder if you guys will do any better this time.
Want, as proven by numbers.
It's true. I mean, there's only one you haven't gotten until after the 5 clues.
Was that during the practice podcast?
No, that was Kid Icarus, wasn't it?
Wait, no, I think I got Kid Icarus.
Did you?
Eventually.
Wow.
I was Pauline that we never got.
What was the super obvious? Oh, Skate 3. Skate 3.
Oh, yeah, we never got Skate.
Anyway,
wait, I think did Matt?
The annals of history have passed us.
Annals.
We have a new future ahead of us, and the future comes in the form of these 5 clues. If you want to send in your suggestions, please do send them to dadandsonspodcast@gmail.com.
Figly e Papa.
Right, Figly e Papa at italiangmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
Gmail.it.
Also, send in your emails with questions. Less translation and language lessons, more emails. Anyway, Matt,
Liam,
are you ready?
I just want to tell you, si un desi su desi. Okay?
I'm going to assume that means I love you until the end of time.
Even I know that's... Anyways, I'll keep it to myself. Let's do it.
Does the licking of lips have something to do with the translation? Or?
No. I'm just, dusting my shoes off. I'm dusting my palms off. I'm doing some stretches.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So let's get...
Feels good.
Let's get into this, mother. Right.
Ugh.
Clue number 1. This game is primarily played in an isometric viewpoint.
Okay.
Oh, we got a red herring right there.
Yeah, that doesn't really narrow it down by much. There's a whole genre of that stuff. That was also like a very, very common style around turn of the millennium. I have no guesses.
Matthew?
Can you repeat the
clue?
The clue. Yeah.
The game is primarily played in an isometric viewpoint.
No.
It is Bastion.
No, but that's a pretty good guess, though.
Yeah, you just went right to it. I should have taken the opportunity and, like, crap shot. Okay, before we go to the next clue, I'm going to say Diablo 2.
No.
I mean, there's like no consequence to getting a wrong guess, right?
Well, I don't know. Maybe we can impede death. I don't know. Something.
Oh no!
Impede
Whoa.
death? Holy crap!
Jesus.
All right, I gotta play it real safe.
Yeah.
Jeez, I didn't know I was part of. I didn't know the cyberpunk dystopia was this real.
It's all that VR, dude. It's all that VR.
In VR right
We're
now,
in
George. You never got
boy.
out.
You never left. I somehow bought one and joined you.
All right. Next clue.
All right, clue number 2. The title of the game is part of the title of its very own theme song.
What?
Now that does narrow it down.
That narrows it down, does it?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of isometric games. Oh, wait, no, maybe.
Isometric games that have a theme song with the title of the game in it.
Yeah.
Transistor.
No. Sorry, Matt. That's your clue out the window.
Cannon
isometric
fodder.
Bring in death.
Oh no, Matt, you died.
Oh,
You
I love
died.
thinking so.
Return to last bonfire, which was some Italian words ago.
I said you were a 10 out of 10, Liam. What the hell? It's supposed to mean
He
something.
gave you his compliments.
That's why
He
I'm
sent
sending
the
you
chef
back
some
to a
compliments.
bonfire, whereas George doesn't have that option.
All right, so it's not cannon fodder. I don't even think cannon fodder has the words cannon fodder in its song.
Is that your guess, George?
That's my guess.
Okay, so you're both wrong. Let's move on to clue number
well,
3.
I guess I'm dead.
Okay, we'll combine maybe 2 clues into one here because they're very similar. The game commercially flopped hard, selling only 60,000 copies worldwide after 2 months of release.
Okay.
Released in the
Boy.
summer of 2013 for the Wii U.
Now we can't get it wrong, or we'll really die.
Like the Wii U.
Yeah. All right. I gotta
A
guess.
eulogy.
A Wii eulogy.
I have a guess. I'll start us off by guessing Pikmin 3.
No.
no.
That sold over 1
Jesus
million
Christ.
copies.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that.
Well, you should.
Yeah.
I think so, anyway. I remember seeing that somewhere. How about you, Matthew?
Jesus, this is embarrassing.
I think I'm talking out my ass in terms of Pikmin 3. I have no idea what it sold.
What you said a year?
2013.
2013. The summer
Which
of
makes inexcusable for us to get this shit wrong. Like I was a Wii U appreciator. I don't want to say fan or
Hey,
evangelist,
I like the
but
Wii
I
U.
appreciated
It's
it.
completely redundant compared to the Switch because the Wii U's gimmick.
Everything's getting ported over.
Well, it's not even that. It's just its gimmick. The Switch was 2.0 version with the better fucking screen and controller.
Yeah.
But it was good at the time. I liked it. Just throw out a Wii U title.
I haven't played a lot of those types of games, so I don't know. And Wii U, oof, I played Smash. I got it for Smash. That's it. That's pretty much it. So I'm gonna say next clue. Hopefully.
Okay, moving
Yeah.
on to clue number 4. The development studio that developed this title is well known for developing top-notch action games.
Oh my fucking god.
Oh God, what is it?
It's the Wonderful 101.
It is the Wonderful 101. Well done, George.
No, do not compliment me on that.
It's the Wonderful 101, developed by Platinum Games. Clue number 5 was this game's director presented the game's Nintendo Direct trailer in a business suit and tie, which rather went against his more well-known image as a kind of rebel-esque gangster-looking dude, which is Hideki Kamiya, of course. The controllable characters all take their design cues from Tokutsu. I don't think he wrote that correctly. Tokusatsu, the Power Rangers Sentai-esque characters. Primary has 7 characters that all have different color schemes.
It's isometric. Wow.
Yeah, 60,000 copies. That is sad because it's a good game.
Yeah, that's like, I guess I never heard the theme song.
Yeah, I didn't until I checked it out
Me
when
either.
I saw this.
Sono un immondia.
Was that part of the theme song or Italian?
No, I think that was Italian.
Our Italian listeners will have fun deciphering that one. All right, so that wraps it up for Dad and Sons number 19.
Thanks, Dumpbox. Thanks for your clue. If you want to send in clues, remember, and send us emails. Do that.
Send it to the dump box at dadandsonspodcast
which is
gmail.com.
Truly a dump box.
Full of what's the word again? Immondizia.
And remember, se un 10 su 10.
See.
See?